So Kirsty, you've just been part of the process with me. Thank you very much. There's a moment now for you to reflect on what it was like to be part of the process.
I found it very reassuring.
Mm.
Very reassuring. I think I was doubting myself.
Right.
Yeah. I think I was doubting myself.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah, it's just nice to check in. I think it's nice to check in.
Yeah.
And I found that very helpful.
Yeah.
And I feel like definitely going forward with that client and probably with others that will come my way, because there is something about that type of work that draws me in.
Right.
And so now I just need to remind myself, reassure myself that I can handle it. I do have respect, and that voice that I hear is not ego. It's like just checking.
Just check.
Just checking.
This is still on track.
So pay it some attention, but don't let it hold me back.
Yeah, lovely. Okay.
Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you.
Let's take a couple of moments to reflect on the supervision process. I'm sure that you're kind of still one foot in and increasingly both feet out. But looking back on the process, what stands out for you?
The piece, particularly where the coachee could realize that she was making a lot of assumptions about how a client might be feeling, and realizing that she could actually check in with her clients, and that it doesn't always have to be, if this has happened, then that must happen, then that must happen, in terms of her client's background and lack of a place to have worked through trauma in therapy. Because I had a sense that was getting in the way of her actually knowing what she was doing. She named very easily the clues for her that the work was still present-centered, forward-moving work.
So that would be an example of where the personal intrudes on the professional.
Indeed.
And that's what supervision actually is about.
At the heart of it, isn't it?
Yeah. Thank you very much. What do you think the takeaway was for the coach?
What she spoke about that seemed to be key was contracting.
Yes.
And I know she understands contracting on those 3 levels that we talk about, the administrative, the roles and responsibilities, but most importantly that psychological level. How's she going to be with her clients? How can they have an ongoing authentic relationship, particularly when it seems like the client shows emotions quite a lot, and check in how it's going rather than assume. So that was the one piece, and I think that fed into her feeling quite reassured that she does know what she's about. And it was interesting, she didn't use the words, but my sense of she really knows her doing, and her growing awareness is around her being as a coach. And I think that's really one of the key things as people develop as coaches.
So you can see that she's actually progressing towards being a coach rather than doing coaching. Nice. Yeah. I think so too. So there was a lot of realization around the contracting piece. And I began to wonder about the key issues. So what's this really about, or what's the personal piece underneath? And I was linking that into a couple of things that I'd like to share with you in a moment. What was your thinking around the key issues?
I think it was around trusting herself more.
Yeah.
And as she's working with a different type of client, she said this was the first time she's working with a client, it's kind of, I know what I know, I can do it.
Yes.
And that was the piece that was getting in her way.
It's around knowing what we do, knowing what we not knowing what we do, and competence in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
That reflects my thinking, which was partly or initially around the safety that the contract gives. And I wondered if safety was one theme, one of the many key issues that could have been there.
That's interesting, because I remember myself giving her some positive strokes about her thinking and that she would be creating structure and safety.
Yes.
So almost unconsciously I used the word without pulling it through. So it was very much in my somewhere around there in the field.
In the field.
Yeah.
And the connected idea I had was around boundaries, which started off with the boundary between counselling and coaching.
Yes.
But that's also about firming up identity. Where is my boundary?
Indeed. So that development of her identity as a coach.
Yes, and the change. So I suppose it's around, in this shifting world of identities and movement, psychological movement, where are the boundaries and what is safety? Thank you. I wondered about the drama triangle, which she used as a model.
Yes.
And whether you were feeling any invitation onto the triangle yourself.
What an interesting question. I think I might have felt a temptation to rescue, but I know she does really good thinking. And wanted to my question around understanding herself on the triangle was to put it back to her and see what she would do with it.
So you didn't rescue her by telling her, for example, what to think.
Yeah.
But you stayed thinking.
I stayed thinking. I think I invited her to stay thinking in her adult.
Yeah.
And to think of what options she could do differently with her client.
Absolutely. So I was struck by two other things. The first was your phrase towards the end about her new thinking or her new belief.
Yes. For me, I really see my philosophy of supervision is that at the heart of it is people make new meaning within a safe relationship, and that's how I see supervision. And I'm seeing it as doing Kolb's learning cycle over and over again, or using the TA phrase of re-scripting, creating a new life plan in the moment within that safe relationship. And my belief is that people are doing that. So I notice I use that phrase, what new belief is beginning. For me, it's a fateful question because it's moving the person in that direction of believing that it is happening, and then they name it. It happens.
Fateful?
Fateful. The questions we ask set people on a direction. And it can be positively fateful by believing in potential and change and growth. So the question's already asking about that, not whether it's happening or not.
But you assume that it is.
Absolutely.
And energy flows where thought goes.
That's it.
So you mentioned your philosophy briefly, and you seemed to me to be particularly appreciative.
Indeed.
Could you flesh that out slightly?
For me, that is what's made sense in my development as a professional. I work within the paradigm of appreciative inquiry, which says the questions we ask and what we look for, it's like a search engine, is what we're going to find. And in my own life, I know I've sometimes forgotten my potential. And I've worked with people who have believed that it's there, and they've asked me those questions to point me in the direction of my strengths and resiliences. So I'm
Mm.
very much driven by believing in people's, what are their strengths, what are their
Yes.
resiliences. They're there.
Yes.
They've just maybe forgotten them,
Yes.
and they can emerge and change in the way they name them
Mm.
within a new relationship of coach and supervisor, or other relationships.
Mm. I was thinking as I watched that you have a particularly positive pair of spectacles that you view the coach through.
That's a lovely metaphor for how I do work. And I think at the same time, checking in, if I'm thinking of the supervision triangle and the management piece, and particularly with regards to ethics, if we bring it back to this piece, making sure that the work was within the scope of practice of the coach as coach. So the appreciative spectacles don't take away from that piece of, as supervisor, is this work ethical?
Yes, yes, it's not about just being nice and...
No, anything goes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anything you'd like to add?
I think that feels complete.
Kirsty.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
So you heard me and Karen talking about the supervision session with you. How was that?
I feel like it peeled back another layer for me on my understanding of the process I just went through. And I had new insights, which was amazing.
It was.
Yes.
Would you like to pick any of them up?
Sure. It was interesting to... Karen said something about I was putting my framework on my clients, and I'm just thinking that what I was believing of my clients in that moment mirrors something that's happening in my personal life. And so when you said it's bringing personal into professional, that really just hit the nail on the head, and I was like, oh. And it's actually given me quite a lot of freedom in the personal life, and also in the coaching. So that was quite valuable to me. Yeah. And then also hearing Karen say that she was invited to potentially rescue me, but she said, I know that she does good thinking. Firstly, it was really nice to hear that affirmation, but also it was a reminder that I believe that about my client. I do think she does good thinking. So I can almost approach her in the same way. So that was really cool. So
at least 2 really useful new pieces of thinking for you.
Absolutely. Oh, and there was one other. It was about I know how to do coaching, and now I have to be coaching. Yeah, that was definitely, I think what's going on with me.
Yes. How are you evolving?
Yes, absolutely. And I am.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.